Hey guys, Coach Nick here, and today we're going to be looking at the Century bags and how they're designed and what they work really well for. This is a not sponsored video, but hey Century, hit me up because this should be. We have the Torent T2 Pro, and again I purchased all of these myself, and then we have the Versys. In a little bit I'll be showing you a couple of the other standard bags, including the B.O.B, body opponent bag. Now, first off, pretty simple. Base doesn't go too high, so it's good for kids. Sometimes with the bigger bases, kids or newer people tend to hit that bottom, especially if they're brand new. They don't know how to lift the knee to get the round kicks in first. So this one's got kind of a lower profile, works really well. It's firm. It does walk a little bit. It's a great bag. You can really blast it. Super sturdy. But it does start to walk. So, nothing crazy. If you have a few feet of space that it can actually walk, perfectly fine. When you're trying to put all of them in a row, that's where it gets a little tricky because they all kind of start walking around. Now, with the Century Versys, I really like this bag, but this isn't a bag for heavy follow-through shots. What I really like this bag for is how dynamic it is. You can do the ground and pound, you can do takedowns against it, but what I really like this for is combinations. And you can see that it does lean a little bit. This one is, I believe, a year old. It gets used in just about every class. So it's held up pretty well. They do lean, so if you're not used to it, it's kind of a strange bag to get used to. Now, I really like these because they move. What it doesn't allow you to do is throw the combinations in a quick fashion, but it makes you change distance, and which is what I really like about it. I have to work on my timing, and if you're throwing just snap kicks, it's perfectly fine. If you're throwing punches, perfectly fine. I can't load up or follow through. So if I follow through with my strike, it goes right over. So if you're doing snappy kicks, it's perfectly fine. Or punches. So snap kick, it goes in. It's only when I'm doing the big tie kicks that it falls over. So very dynamic. You can move around. Oftentimes what I see is when it's leaning away from people, they want to try to fix the bag, or they try to go to the other side. Now this bag leaning here is equivalent to a person leaning back. And what I would recommend, work on your leg kicks, right? It's as if the person is leaning back. So it's extremely dynamic. You can go 360. So if a person's leaning to the left, right, catch them with that hook on the outside. These were these two bags. Bringing up the next two next. And the next bag that we have is your classic Century Wave Master. The Power Line, it's not my favorite bag. If you're gonna go with a freestanding bag like this, I would definitely recommend going with the Torent series. It gives you a smaller surface area, adequate padding and everything, but you have a smaller surface area, so things like the calf kicks are out. Also, the base is pretty huge. Now, with that type of a base, you would expect it not to walk so much, but unfortunately it's not true. It walks even more, even though it's filled with sand. So I went the heavier route, and still it walks a lot. Lots of protection for your kicks and everything. It's a firm bag, but soft bag. And what I mean by that is you're able to strike it as hard as you can without any risk to your legs. But with how big the base is, I would expect a little more structure from it. So if you're going to go a bag like this, spend a little extra and get the Torent series. It's way, way better. Now, the stand going to the B.O.B, the B.O.Bs are definitely firmer. So that's a little bit of a shock for some people. It's not crazy. I still like the bobs. But the bobs give you something that you don't get in other places. So with Bob, head kicks. Head kicks can be a very challenging thing to understand and get done. What I love about Bob is he has shoulders. The shoulders give you that added element of a guard. And so when you're practicing your head kicks, it's much, much better to get a realistic feel. Also, uppercuts. It's almost impossible to throw a standard uppercut without trying to modify or just throwing it into the air in front of the bag. So Bob has a sufficient chin for your uppercuts. He has a shoulder for your head kicks to get over, and he's fully adjustable. Also, Bob can take quite a bit of a beating with very, very little moving. Now, still walks around a bit, but less so than the Powerline Wave bag. So, Bob is a great option. Out of all the Century bags, you can see that I've used just about all of them. The Torent series is my favorite. And then the Versys bag is going to be very versatile in a lot of things, but it's not going to be a heavy hitting bag. So if you're looking for the heavy hitting bag, right here, if you're looking for movement and dynamics, then you're going to use that Versys. And if you're looking for uppercuts and more realism, Bob is the way to go. I'll see you in the next one.